Welcome back to the No Nonsense Sustainability Podcast. I'm Ildiko Almashi-Simsik. This show isn't about saving the planet with corporate slogans or glossy brochures. Here, we're talking about real infrastructure, real communities, and the future we're building together, with the people shaping that future and the critics testing it. No jargon, just real talk. Have you ever wondered what it takes to work for your government permitting mega projects? What if it's in a developing country where the stakes are high, the investors are international, and the lender standards are quite stringent? Joining me today is Dr. Adegboyega Lawal from the Federal Ministry of Nigeria. Ade holds a PhD in impact assessments and has over a decade of experience delivering incredible mega projects in Nigeria. Welcome to the show, Ade.
Thank you very much, Ildiko. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you very much.
You're not new to Bob, as you've met Bob in Quebec. So this time, how about you explain the environmental assessment process in 60 seconds with no buzzwords? Are you ready?
All right, I am ready. Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. Environmental permitting is a process whereby government officials regulate and provide environmental permit, ability permit for environmental issues for proposed or project or developers. So just that.
Okay. So the process starts from the developer submitting you the document, but that's not how it ends. Can you walk us through the different stages and what is your day-to-day like in the office?
Okay, so my day-to-day is a very, very busy one. As we know, Nigeria is a developing country and we have a whole lot of increased development gaps in terms of infrastructural development and mining, agriculture, almost daily basis. And my department of environmental assessments, is like the gatehouse for project that needs environmental permits, specifically the environmental impact assessment. So we receive applications, proposals, and requests for approvals on a daily basis. And we have a process in which these applications goes through before the report, the approval is granted. So each day we are either continuing the processing of a particular application, or we are concluding it, or we are doing a review, a technical review, or an in-house review of a project, or we are discussing findings from our site verification or initial site visit, or findings from data gathering. So we have different units that consider different things. But for me, my unit is the evaluation and analysis. So what I do mostly is this big report comes to my desk, and I give my review of the report with respect to guidelines, laws, and also other international protocols that we also are signed into. So mostly I do evaluation and analysis, bringing out gaps on areas of improvement within environmental impact assessment report. So basically, it's either I'm concluding a review and I'm presenting my comment, or I'm checking if a comment that have been presented earlier has been well addressed, or we are proposing a meeting with the developer, the consultant, to discuss some gray areas as relating to the project and their application. So that's of a brief how my day goes. If I'm in the office, or some days like this that I'm not in the office, I'm on site. Either following up with to confirm some information that was provided to us, and also to corroborate issues, and also to give guidance for field activities.
Yeah, these impact assessment reports are quite long, right? How many a day lands on your desk on average?
Yeah, for the past, I was taking inventory for the past over 13 years or so. Now, at least in a day, let's make it a week. In a week, I receive at least 3 new reports
Oh, wow.
every week. So, but sometimes 2, but I can assure you that I receive not less than 3 per week assigned to me because we have over 200 staffs. But within our
Okay.
unit, we are close to like 20 staffs in the unit. So it goes, and I'm in the infrastructure unit. So I receive more of infrastructural related projects. Some of my colleagues receive oil and gas, some receive mining, some receive agricultural projects. So let's say 3 per week. And the first step we do when I receive such is to, first of all, subject it to public review. So we tend to advertise it on the radio, newspaper, put on our website so that public can also make comment on the report before we now subject it to either in-house review, public review, and expert review based on the category in which that project has been categorized even from the initial environmental evaluation.
So when you receive these reports, do you give them a check before it goes to public consultations? Because I assume that a lot of the reports have like basic human error flaws, like an annex is missing or an appendix is not sent or the cover page is not formatted adequately. What % of reports do you send back before it even gets to that consultation stage?
Exactly. That is the part of the job I do in evaluating and analyzing. So once this report comes, we do a basic sweep or check through. Most times I look at the table of content and I look at the structure of the report to see if it at least have the basic information that we are looking out for. And once this is there, we can now recommend that this can go to the public. But in cases whereby we see that this information, this report is largely deficient, we send it back to the consultant with a basic comment that they should go address it and resend before we can now start the review process in earnest. So we do look at these areas, and we have turned back several reports, and we have even stopped some reports from going to our online websites so as to reduce how far the reports can go. So it's part of what we do.
And when you disclose the report, you hold the public hearings. Are you participating in those? Is the report also disclosed online? Is it you who's analyzing those comments? How should we imagine this process?
Yeah. So each report follows different category. We have the category 1, category 2, category 3 project. So for a category 1 project, that's projects that are located in environmentally sensitive areas or projects that are having potential for high social risk, we'll do a full public review. And in this public review, we'll invite the State Ministry of Environment, because Nigeria is divided into 36 states. So the state has their own Ministry of Environment. So we invite the State Ministry of Environment, we invite the local government, and we'll invite civil society organizations and NGOs. Then we'll also get across with different experts. We'll invite an ecology expert. We invite engineering expert if the project is engineering based. We invite waste management expert, climate change expert, and we'll call the community also to have like a co-presentation, like a town hall meeting. So we usually don't do that in the states where the project domicile, because we in the federal we work at the middle. So, but project comes from different states. So we have to go to the states in which the project is domicile, and we'll have a co-presentation. So just like a court of law setting, where we'll have sitting in front. The panel is composed. Sometimes we have like 8 members of those panel. The ministry is represented by just one person, the different experts from universities and regulators from the state. Then we have the proponent of the project and their consultant. Then I, from the ministry, will sit as secretariat. So we take note of the questions raised, the response made, and the recommendations from the panel, which will form the condition either for approval of the ESI or disapproval of the ESI. So we have this area whereby even the communities will sit and face. So the consultant and the proponent will make a presentation of the ESI and the findings, the impact, the mitigation, the management plan. Then the experts will ask questions relating to each areas of interest because we have provided a report to them beforehand. So they want to get some additional information.
Okay. So they're there to ask questions from you, not to reply based on behalf of the project.
No, the experts are to ask questions from the proponent and the consultant.
Okay.
With respect to their ESI, because we feel that the community might not have enough expertise to speak what they might be the right questions. So those experts are like sitting in for the community, for Nigeria as a whole. While the community also will also be asking their own questions, because the community are the first line of people that will ask questions. They'll ask their own questions on how this project will affect them. But the experts are there because we in the ministry might not have all the level of expertise, and we need help from consultants and from the school, the academia, because they have more. Yeah, so they bring in this question. And most times it's an avenue for us to learn. I learn a lot from the kind of questions the ecology experts ask, or the kind of question the waste management experts do ask them. So I take note, and maybe in the future also, I also add it to my own criteria of asking questions, and I learn from what they also have. So in that scenario, we place all the cards on the table. And the community
I think that's very smart, because a lot of these reports are very, very complex. You're dealing with so many topics. There is no way for one person to have in-depth expertise in groundwater management, biodiversity, and supply chains at the same time,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. So it gives us, the regulator, ample time to focus on the laws. Let's see if the limits are being met, if the national limits are being met, if the international limits are being met. So we'll focus on the regulatory part of it, while our experts bring in their expert point of view. Then we'll harmonize all their comments. We'll harmonize them into a singular comment, which we do call the harmonized comment. So this comment is what we will now send to the consultant and the proponent for them to go and update the draft report and bring up a final report that will address issues and areas that has been brought up. Then we'll also look at conditions, because we don't just give approvals. We have conditions for approval or disapproval. So the panel also recommend that, okay, you need to have a stakeholders engagement plan that maybe will be quarterly. Maybe you need to develop a resettlement action plan for this project, or you need to have a explosive management plan, or some other plans that were not factored into the SIA. So these are recommendations that, let me give you an example. A case happened while, I think, some years back with a former director. A governor of one of the states in Nigeria wanted to build a super highway of close to more than 300 meter width, 300, close to 500 or 700 meter width in terms of the width of the road.
Oh, wow.
And is going to be within a highly vegetated area where we have a lot of exotic trees and a lot of exotic trees that are in that area. And it was very, very dicey for us, because this governor is very, very powerful in terms of government, and the government are the one proposing the project. And when we saw it, we were in the fix. We didn't know how to navigate to tell the doctor. So sorry, with this project, you're going to be falling a whole lot of trees that are going to be that's going to affect the ecosystem of that particular region, because that region is one of the most protected regions in Nigeria in terms of biodiversity. And we have to find a way to bring in this panel of experts. And we brought 21 conditions of approval,
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
that particular approval, because the presidency was on our neck that no, this guy needs this job. Why are you holding it back? Please, we need development in Nigeria. We want to open up roads. And we are government also. So once your principal, the president, is speaking to you, government, to yield to something, you just have to find a way around it. So what was our saving grace was the 21 conditional approval that we gave. And the conditional approval was almost impossible for the proponent to meet up with. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
like you gave us approval one hand and you collected it in another hand. So we told him, no,
Yeah.
if you go ahead with this, you have to go and address these issues. And at the end, the prayer was abandoned and it was not followed through it. And
Oh, okay.
the environment won at the end, and the environment was at the end. So that is one severe case in which condition of approval really saved our jobs and saved us from the international backlash, because a whole lot of
Yeah.
NGOs was interested in that project and was writing to us to see what is happening. You can look it up. You just look up Nigeria Superhighway Project. You will see a whole lot of
Okay.
information about that online.
I think I've heard about it.
All right.
So in general, when you approve, you set the conditions. How long after that do you monitor? Do you only monitor during the construction phase? Or are there specific industries or types of projects where you also monitor during the operations phase?
Yeah. Also, because we have environmental and social management plan that is part of the ESIA, which covers all phases of the project: the pre-construction, the construction, the operation, and even the commissioning, as some project might require. We have a unit also in the ministry called Impact Mitigation Monitoring, IMM. So what they do in that unit is to monitor projects in their construction and phase. So once the project is already going to construction, so bring up your management plan, all the commitment that was made in terms of what to be done during construction are being checked to see how far the proponents are complying with them. And in most cases, we have seen cases whereby we are not satisfied. We'll come back again. We can do the same monitoring in 3 tranches. And when it comes to operation also, we have other teams, although it is multi-agency facilitated.
Yeah.
Other agencies like the NESRA also go on monitoring during operation. And we have compliance monitoring also to see if the project complies. So we have different monitoring in place for operation also. And some are with the Ministry of Environment and some are with agencies affiliated with Ministry of Environment, so as to ensure coordination and to ensure that this project goes on. And even the State Ministry of Environment also have their own monitoring plan, even in the state, that they use to follow up with this project. And most times they use the ESIA as a precursor, as a reference document, to monitor all these projects during operation, because the ESI has what to look out for even at operation stage also.
And the monitoring, is it annual, or do you have different monitoring requirements based on the risks associated with the project?
Yeah, because it's on a project by project basis now. So each project has its monitoring schedule. So each project has its own schedule based on the risk and based on the parameters to be measured. So some parameters require quarterly monitoring. such as groundwater, for example, and other parameters. There are some require daily monitoring. So we do receive quarterly monitoring reports from some project, like oil and gas project. Now,
Yeah.
it is compelling to them to send us quarterly monitoring reports that summarizes their daily monitoring, their quarterly monitoring, and and monthly monitoring. So some projects, it is mandated for them to give us quarterly monitoring, while some is monthly. But I'm very, very much aware with receiving quarterly monitoring reports from the oil and gas and from mining industries and the rest of them also. And we have officers that do check the files and know that, okay, this particular state project is due for monitoring, and we mobilize and go to site and see what it is in there.
Yeah, that's quite fascinating. I know that you also work on projects that are funded by international financial institutions. So that's basically how we met, through these networks where, the lenders come in. So it's not just your local environmental act from 1992 that applies, but more stringent international standards. Do you see any difference in processing just the local permitting versus the international? Because our perception is, from, sitting on the other side, is that an international ESIA for a World Bank or an IFC project is always longer, more stringent, more detailed. There's more experts involved, and the whole process is just a lot more complex. How do you evaluate those reports differently? What are the key lessons that you think should be translated into like your local way of working?
Yeah, this is a very, very important and interesting question, because for close to some years now, my ministry has been bamboozled or mesmerized by the fact that we are not up to par with international laws and standards, with respect to the fact that our laws is dated 1992, and since then till now, a whole lot of emerging issues have come in. And the fact that I also support a World Bank finance project, working with the operational policies and now transiting to the environmental social framework, and also with some experience with African Development Bank and European Investment Bank and the rest of them all, having different levels of requirements that, as we said, is complicated or complex. The ministry and the Nigeria national regulations have also been trying to bridge that gap, although we have been having some challenges with respect to the laws and passing this decrease into something that is an official document that you can easily see. But we, based on the fact that we have a whole lot of affiliations and open-ended learning from maybe IAIA and NCEA and other international groups, even the World Bank supporting us even in our country, we have been able to leverage on most of these international laws and protocols and guidelines to improve our own system. For example, let me give you an example. Before now, we do not take GRM, that is grievance redress mechanisms,
Yes.
sexual exploitation and harassment, SEA, labor influx. We do not take those concepts very, very seriously as it should be. But looking at the World Bank project, and we'll see that World Bank will dedicate a chapter for GRM, dedicate sections for labor influx, dedicate sections for sexual exploitation and harassment. And we all take those before, we just lump them up as social issues with respect to migration. Once we start bringing in those GRL, we now start opening our minds to the fact that there are a whole lot of dust that might have been swept under the carpet for a while, and is bringing up new understanding and new reasoning, new ways in which we are taken out of our project. So it is currently an eye-opener, and the ministry, the department is going through a phase currently in which we are working to improve on what we can manage with respect to the comments that we raise and the
Yeah.
guidance that we give consultants, so that we can also appear to be aware of all these emerging issues, because we are also if informed from the information passing from the journals we read, from the conferences we attend, and from the reports we see from other countries. So while waiting for this to become a legal requirement, we are also putting it within our own system informally, so
Yeah.
that we can be able to test it and also catch up with the growing trend. So you might check online, I might not see that our app has carried as influence or have addressed these areas, but our reports are currently addressing them, because they are now formed as comment or feedback that we give back to consultant. That I will challenge our consultants. We do challenge them that they should also be forthcoming. They should also ex- ex- expand their reasoning. They are the ones that are preparing the document, and we learn from them. So if they also can improve on their capacity, improve on their writing skills, improve on what they do, include technology to this, we also will make our work easy. And we can also take cognizance of those reports and call them our own report. Why? Because our consultant has done better and have moved from the usual pattern of doing things. So it's a challenge not only to the regulators, but also to the consultant that prepare this document, to also up their game and also improve
Yeah.
on their tools, so that we all can also be good for it in the long run.
I think that is great to know, because we often have this idea that, you just follow the legislation. If you're like a Ministry of Environment somewhere, you just follow the legislation. So the issues I faced is that they just wanted to see the EIA part of the ESIA, because the rest was not in scope for the legislation. And, some of it is like complex issues. So they cannot change the policy. They cannot change the legislation. And although they were accepting and like welcoming for the lenders to push these additional requirements, they were not as proactive, at least from what I have experienced, as you guys. So it's very, very refreshing to see this level of proactively addressing new kind of issues, even going a little beyond what's required legally. I imagine it also led to improved outcomes for the project.
Exactly. For example, now we have some projects that is being sponsored or facilitated by the World Bank, and while interacting with the bank also brings some gaps in what we do as areas that they feel we should improve upon. And we also trying to tell them that, yeah, we understand where you are coming from, but we have this already taken care of. But the fact that we don't have much evidence, we don't have guidelines that specify that these are there. As we said, we don't have the laws, we don't have it in our laws, we don't have it in our guidelines. It makes it look as if what we are saying does not have evidence. But because it's just as if we apply it in principle, but there is no evidence in our laws and our guidelines. So that is just where we find ourselves till because currently we worked on our laws like over 5 years now. We changed from the EIA to the Environmental Social Health Impact Assessment. Yes,
Okay.
and to include health impact assessment, to include climate change mainstreaming, to include climate resilience and social issues, social influx, biodiversity offset, and the rest of them all. But we are still waiting to get this assigned, so that we can be bringing up guidelines in most areas. So it's still a work in progress. But as I said earlier, we are still working based on principles, so that we can also test the waters before our laws and our guidelines unfold. So this is a time in which we need a whole lot of support from from the global north and the south and also around to help us shaping our exposure, our capacity, so that we can be able to, because we have a whole lot of projects. I was checking our file index some days. I'm seeing that we have project registered in each month. Each month is getting close to 50, 100 each month.
Oh, wow.
So I imagine the surge in this, and we really need to be upgraded to be able to manage and to also be able to give them, because it's an opportunity. Imagine if 100 projects in a month passes through the highest or the most best level of environmental due diligence. It translates to a whole lot years or decade of environmental and social benefits, because these projects are going to last a lifetime. So once we are able to embed environmental, social, and commitment at the formative years of those projects, the benefit is going to transcend generations, and generations on board will be glad that we did what is right on this project. And if not, if we don't do it right, we'll be having social conflict and environmental degradation and issues that can be addressed even at the formative stage of the project. So I consider our department and this particular area of activity very, very, very important, because it's not only does it affect our current environment, it has a whole lot to say about the future of Nigeria, the future of Africa, and even the future of the world. So it's a very, very noble profession, and I'm glad that we are doing what we can do to make it better.
And I know you're also doing a lot experimenting with technology to make your life easier, specifically with AI tools and GIS mapping. Can you maybe tell us some more about your experience and the tools that you have developed?
Yeah, I'm glad to speak about that also. I, for one, I experience how much when you are overloaded with a whole lot of workflow can affect you, especially if you are someone that wants the best from each of the job. Imagine I, for one, I have to look at 10 reports in 2 weeks, or let's say 3 reports in a week. And if I'm given one report, I know how diligent, I know how effective I will put my 1 week to use to ensure that I bring up all the angles, all the areas that I feel one report should address. But now, if I'm to divide myself in that high level capacity over 3 reports, 4 reports, I might not give my 100% to the 4 report. I might give my 100% to the first report. And the remaining reports, I'll get tired of like giving them 20%, 30%. And at the end, I will not be happy about it, because maybe the report that I didn't give my 100% to is the report that is being used and people are not feeling the impact, or is being criticized somewhere that this report is trash, it's not doing well. So without understanding, I was now fascinated about artificial intelligence and how I can be able to divide my 100% across multiple layers without mixing, without getting maybe because maybe I'm not happy today and I'll get, so how I can be able to divide by 100% across all, so that my 100% will be across all boards. Also, I looked at a lot of my colleagues, senior men that have spent 30 years of their career life in my department, 35 years, they have experience. My former directors, very, very knowledgeable individuals, very, very highly intellectuals that will be at all at what they say and what they do. And I was like thinking, if this guy retires now, all this information goes along with him, because we don't have any record of how he does his work, how he does it. So what if I can train a bot, an AI machine, on what I am looking out for in a report, and I pick my boss also. I say, okay, director, before you go, let us train this bot also with all what you know. So now he is retired, but all his information is still within our AI framework. So it was
Yeah.
from that understanding I was fascinated. I was like thinking of how we can replicate a whole lot of experts to have different AI bots, so that I can now bring up a report and say, okay, AI, I'm tired, but you know how I review reports, you know how Dr. So review report, you know how this guy review report. Go through this report using all their criteria and give me areas in which I should be interested in. And within 13, 15, in fact, seconds, I'm having a whole spreadsheet of information that, okay, that can give me a head start, because it gives me a
Yeah.
head start. It makes me at least 2 times, 10 times faster. So I have a head
Yeah.
start on what to do. So with that, that was what I focused on in my PhD thesis, on how to work on that. And we did some tests from prototype, which we tested, it worked out. And since then, I 20 last year came in Bologna, and I was fortunate to work closely with Professor Gusipi Magro, and I spoke with him. We perfected some GIS based AI model, and we worked on a paper together. And moving forward to AI governance, permitting system, and it has just been on each level. It has been getting better, and we spoke also
Yeah.
on some projects in which we also did a competition with with the head of service. We did a nationwide Nigeria competition of civil servants innovation competition, and we came up as one of the running mates in terms of running teams of innovative understand technology. So it's something that I've been experimenting, because GIS, AI have a link when it comes to environmental and social consideration. And even in my current project now, we have close to 200 active sites, because our
Oh,
project build
wow.
rural roads across 19 states. So we have almost 200 active sites currently, and we have close to 56 staffs, environment, social, and gender-based violence. And I receive report from all those 56 staffs in my office. And I have to have quarterly reports to the World Bank on our performance. So
Yeah.
it was crazy on how I can be able to manage this data. If it was just one or two states, yes, I can deploy all
Yeah.
my energy,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I had to think in AI to be able to get all this information from the states, wrap them around, and give it to the bank what they really need. And it really helped. It really helped. Till now, they are still trying to understand how it was done. But
No, it is quite innovative. And what I like about it is that you're still doing the work. So it's not like you built a system that replaces you and you will no longer do the work. You just built a tool that helps you work more efficiently. And that's
exactly,
exactly my mentality on AI.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
is very, very, very inspiring to see young people from Nigeria, from the global south, not only taking so much pride in protecting their country, but also innovating in ways that's even novel for more developed countries.
exactly. Thank you very much, Yudiko. Yeah, it's a
Thank you
pleasure.
for thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you very much. You see, I'm glad to have this conversation, and thank you very much for listening.
And thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode from someone from the field who's in the meat and the heart of environmental permitting in the global south in Nigeria. Share this episode with someone who would appreciate these insights, and I'll see you next time.